Hello, this is Reverend Bill Ryan, and it is Sunday night, December 1st. And I decided tonight um, to address something which is really kind of interesting, I think. A lot of people know about Satan, but there isn't a lot of talk about him in the Bible or where he came from. He just kind of appeared in Genesis to talk to Adam and Eve. There is a backstory of him, some from the Bible, but not much. There are other sources to explain the backstory of Satan or Lucifer and how he came to exist and why he does what he does. And I thought I'd take some time just to kind of go over that in case any of you are unfamiliar with the history of Lucifer and why does he behave the way he does. I mean, we know he's evil and he tries to have us commit evil, but why? And what's the end game here? Um, so I did, gather up some notes here from different sources, and I just thought I'd cover the whole history um, as far as we know of Lucifer and why he does what he does. And hopefully you'll find it interesting too. If you believe in the faith, you'll certainly be interested in this. And if you are inclined not to believe, then it's an interesting story anyway. So hopefully you won't be bored. But I certainly am a believer. So I find it very interesting. So starting off, the origins of Lucifer. Um, Before the humans came to Earth, came to exist on Earth, we all know that God made Earth. But there was actually things going on before then. There was heaven, and in heaven was God and all his angels. And the angels basically adored and worshipped God for a lot of reasons. But God was light, pure light, and the light was the goodness. Um, and the number one angel in charge there, he was the one that God made perfect, and his name was Lucifer. He was the best, the most intelligent, the most beautiful, the strongest. He was number one. I mean, when he talked, all the other angels listened. He ran the whole shooting match. He was second only to God. He was, for the most part, yeah, perfect and powerful. Um, and he had a gift of the gab, as they say in Ireland. He was a great orator. When he talked, people listened. And all the other angels just absolutely worshiped him and hung on every word he said because he was that important. Also, heaven was very organized. There was a functionality towards it where every angel was in a tier, and every tier had a certain function. There weren't just a whole bunch of angels, running around doing whatever they felt like. They each had a purpose, and they had to have some purpose to fulfill. And there was a pure functionality. Now at the top, they had the seraphims. They were considered to be the bright living flames, and they were full of love and purity, and they pretty much stayed in heaven, close to God. Then below them were the archangels and some of the higher ranking angels, and they were closer to Earth. They were in charge of bringing important messages from God to whomever. I mean, when Mary found out that she was going to give birth to Jesus, the archangel came and told her what was going on. So yeah, the archangels were kind of important messengers, the word between God and I guess us to an extent. And then they had the angels closest to humanity. They would probably be what you and I would consider to be our guardian angels, and they would be closely associated with us, and they would try to keep us away from evil. To try to do it, if they saw an evil coming, they would try to steer us away. And they were very, very closely associated with humanity. And of course, there was Lucifer, who was the highest among everyone, and he was called the morning star because he shone the brightest. He was also in charge of the choir and music, very closely associated with music of all kinds, which kind of makes sense because if you know, the fact that the devil does actually try to hit with the children with songs and lyrics from music nowadays. So it's not uncommon for him to use his skills in music and words and lyrics to try to get evil to spread. That's basically what he was the best at in heaven. He was the music man, I guess. Let's see. The problem with Lucifer was that he was very ambitious because he was given the will to gain knowledge. That was one of the things he had that other angels maybe did not have as much of. They all had free will, but Lucifer wanted to always know things, get more knowledge. You saw short circuit, more input, more input. He always wanted to know what it would be like to be more. And that was okay, but it set off his pride. And pride is one of the 7 deadly sins. A lot of people mistake pride for being something good, but it's throughout history, it's notorious for being a bad thing. It corrupts your thought process a lot of times. And eventually he started to thinking about what it would be like to be better than God. What if he was the brightest light to shine? And that kind of got him thinking, well, I'm perfect and I'm the best at everything. Why can't I be God? And by the way, how do we know God is God? How do we know that God isn't just an angel like me that has lied to us? And maybe he's not God at all. Maybe he's just an angel like me and he's fooled everyone. So he thought about this for quite a while. And the Bible actually has him having said 5 wills, I wills, actually, that were associated with his thought process at this time. And those were, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. In other words, I will exceed God. I will also sit on the mount of the congregation on the furthest side of the north. Again, I would think that's something above and beyond one would normally do, probably maybe in his mind above God. I will ascend above the heights of the cloud. Everything about this is I will go beyond. I will be like the Most High, which I would think is a reference to God. One of the interesting things I did find, though, most of this I knew. I mean, I've taken theology and philosophy classes all through school, even graduated through a Catholic college. But one thing I was surprised in researching this is that apparently Jesus was in heaven during that, and he mentions that he saw the fall of Lucifer. Now, I did not know that. I mean, I had a feeling he was probably around somewhere, but to me, the first mention of the second member of the Trinity was pretty much in the New Testament. But apparently he was there when all this was going on, which I found kind of interesting. That's one bit of information I did not know. Anyway, his behavior, his being Lucifer, became so bad that the archangel Gabriel actually came to him and said, "Brother, you're acting kind of weird lately. Everything okay?" And he gave him some vague answer, something like, what did he say? It was something like, there are things that no matter how great we are, we'll never know, or something like that. And I don't know. It was something vague. And Gabriel just kind of shrugged it off, but he kept that in the back of his mind, like, yeah, something's not right around here. Um, so one of the other things too is that, as I mentioned, he was a big lover of music, and he led the chorus, and he was the best singer. He played the best instruments. He really kept it going, and he began to withdraw, and he didn't even bother going to the choir anymore or singing. And this got other people upset. Like, what's going on? I mean, this is your thing. Um, but he didn't have any inclination to sing or play music or do anything anymore. He became kind of consumed with maybe starting a rebellion. So he started to think about that, and he started to discuss his discontent with the other angels. Now you got to remember that he had a lot of influence with the other angels. So when he talked, they listened. They obeyed him, essentially. God sensed at this time something was wrong, and he summoned Lucifer. And no, Lucifer didn't lie to him. God asked him what's going on, and he said, "Look, you created me to be perfect, and you gave me this curiosity about how things could be different. And I'm beginning to think, what more can I do? How great can I be?" I mean, he laid it out on the table, and God knew where he was going with it. Also knew this was very dangerous for him. But again, God created Lucifer and all the angels with free will. That's a very important factor here. So God just kind of basically warned him, telling him he's kind of stepping into some dangerous territory. So that was that. And then a short time later, God decided to call Lucifer back again. And he gave him another warning and said, the reason I'm giving you the second warning is because there's going to be a revelation. And this revelation is going to test your loyalty and your commitment to us. And I need you to do your best to pass this test. It's extremely, extremely important that you do, because this is going to make or break you. And at this time, Lucifer said, yeah, no problem. I'll be fine. And he goes, God said, well, it's not going to be easy for you. And he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. I'll be fine. So the day came where God called all his angels, and he announced his revelation. And his revelation consisted of a few matters. The first one is that he was going to create a universe. And in this universe, he was going to create objects, one of which was going to be the planet Earth. And on the Earth, he was going to put, fruits and plants and all kinds of things like that there. And he would also put people, and the people were going to be created from his image. And because they were going to be created in his image, they were actually going to be higher than angels. So the angels would have to bow to the humans. And as a result, those people would prosper. But eventually they would be corrupted. And when they became corrupted, he would have to send down Jesus as a mere mortal, as one of them. And he was going to save them. And as a result of saving them, they were going to turn on him, and they were going to crucify him and sacrifice him up on the cross. And that's about all it is. They're going to be corrupted, and Jesus is going to go down and save them, and they're going to repay him by killing him. And the angels are to acknowledge that they are below these humans, and they are to bow to them as their superiors. Well, that was too much for Lucifer. He had a few issues. Why should he bow down to a lesser being? I mean, he was perfect. Um, if Jesus had to go down to save them from their own corruption, why would they kill him? Why would these creatures who supposedly he has to bow to be so cold and cruel as to kill by putting on a cross their savior? He wasn't very impressed. So he called the other angels to discuss his dissatisfaction with them. And he was getting the biggest and strongest to follow. That's basic. Those were basically his brothers. I mean, there was a hierarchy, as I mentioned, of angels. And Lucifer was closest with the senior angels. And he was the one they were the ones that he was bringing over. Now, at this point in time, there was a very forgettable archangel called Michael. He was the least of them. He was absolutely dwarfed by Lucifer, but he heard what was going on, and he showed up, and in a very polite way, challenged him, not head on, but kind of disagreeing with him. And, brother, maybe you need to think about this. And they went back and forth a little bit, and the crisis was avoided. Lucifer kind of backed down and left, and the line was kind of drawn, but nothing happened. And then another time, Lucifer was talking to the same group of angels, doing it again. And Michael heard this again and came there with a battle cry. Who is like God, is what he screamed. And a huge battle ensued with all the powerful angels and Lucifer against Michael and some very undermatched angels. That basically was a civil war. And it was long, and it was brutal and bloody. And at the end of the battle, good had won out, and the rebels were cast out of heaven. Lucifer, who they called the Morning Star, and his followers were sent to a place that didn't know light, never would have light. It was darkness and desolation. It was at this time that Lucifer decided that he would now become Satan. He decided at this time that if he couldn't have God's glory, that his next best thing was to destroy it. Now, this is where it gets kind of interesting. This is how we play into it. He said, let me read this up here. Since we were man's greatest creation, Satan would work on destroying us because he knew that hurting us hurt God. And you see, we have free will as well. It seems that whatever God created, he gave free will to. And it is that free will that caused Satan and those angels to fall out of heaven. And it is allowing Satan to attack us because we have the ability to do right, or we can do wrong and follow Satan. And that's what makes Satan so powerful. So at this time, true evil was created. It isn't just a lack of good. It is an active and organized force. Now, this is where I've got to just, mention that I have dealt with the powers of evil. And believe me or not, that's fine. But I mean, I do recognize, I got to comment, I have faced evil, and it is certainly a thing. It is an active force. It is not something that is just, like hunger's a lack of food. Though evil is not lack of goodness. Evil is out to get you any way it can. Um, and that's just the truth. Luckily, I pretty much went out of my battles for now, but I don't look forward to having to fight evil again. It was not fun. Um, but anyway, so getting back to what I was saying, so God gave the angels everything they wanted, but they had free will, and they turned their back on it. So as a result, God took them away from light, and light is goodness. And they didn't appreciate what they had, so he took it away. God is full of love and goodness, but he's also just. And if you don't deserve something, you're not going to get it. Now, Satan doesn't appear that much in the Bible. There's 3 stories that he's mentioned in that are pretty important. I just thought I'd mention that. There's the one where Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, and Satan came to tempt him in the desert, telling him to worship him, and that didn't go too well. There was when he talked to God and decided to challenge Job's faith. And of course, in the Garden of Eden, I think we all know that one, where he tricked Eve into eating the forbidden fruit. The only other mention of Satan that really stands out is in the book of Revelation. John, who wrote Revelation, talks about the end of Satan. And he sees Satan as a big dragon out to corrupt creation again. And it's another battle. It's the final battle of light versus darkness. And it gets very intense. And he says that the archangel Michael and Satan will fight for the last time. And Satan will lose, and Michael will toss him into burning sulfur. And evil will be gone forever. And he, as a footnote, John says, good will always triumph over evil. So that is my story of the origins of Lucifer and Satan. And I hope you guys found that a little interesting. If not, then, sorry, I tried. Let me know what you think. If you like it, then like, share, subscribe. You're always welcome to send me an email. And if you want to hear anything particular, let me know. And other than that, enjoy your Sunday night. I'm going to go watch the Celtics beat the Cavaliers again, hopefully. So thanks. I hope it was good for you too. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.